Finished, have you?
Yep.
And?
Time management.
Really?
Yep. Don't give them time to settle.
I haven't got any notes for my next appointment.
She's over there.
What, new patient?
No.
Better still.
She's a policewoman, a detective. Well, they've finally caught up with you.
Well, that's what happened. How do you reckon she'll handcuff me?
If you ask her nicely.
Sitting in the lorry for hours on end, it gets a bit hot, you know, sweaty, and just thought I had a bit of a rash. I didn't understand what they said in the clinic.
You have what's known as chlamydia.
That's what they said.
It's a sexually transmitted infection.
It can't be.
Take a seat.
I'm not here for my own health, Dr. Rollins. I want to talk to you about a mugging.
They attack on my wife?
No, I'm afraid it's not about that.
What if it's not about Bev? Where do I fit in?
I need some medical information from you. If an elderly and slightly infirm woman was viciously beaten in her own home, what kind of effects could that have on her?
Well, it would depend on the severity of the attack, but in the short term, it would be physically and psychologically damaging.
And what about the long term? Couldn't the shock, the stress, or the trauma of being beaten and robbed cause other medical symptoms further down the line? A stroke, for instance.
It's possible.
Possible? How possible? If a previously fit and healthy woman suddenly became so nervy and introverted she couldn't even set foot outside her own door, wouldn't you say that was a long-term effect of the mugging? And if the previously healthy victim subsequently suffered a massive stroke and died, you might be inclined to call the attacker a murderer.
Yes, on the basis of that evidence. Look, who are we talking about here?
One of your former patients, Mrs. Murray. We've arrested a girl for her mugging.
Girl?
It's a bacterial infection, but fairly easy to treat.
I can't have. How could I?
I'm afraid it's one of the risks you run when you have unprotected sex with a stranger. You're lucky it's not worse. You're lucky it's not HIV. You're married, aren't you, Mr. Winton?
Yeah.
Then your wife will have to come in as well for tests.
Why?
You may have infected her.
You what? What are you saying?
Believe me, the girl we've arrested can be just as violent and ruthless as any man. Which is why we need you to make a statement confirming that Mrs. Murray's death was a direct result of the attack.
I can't do that. Mrs. Murray's stroke was several weeks after the mugging. Medically, it'd be impossible to prove what caused a stroke to happen when it did.
But you've just said on the evidence you'd call that crime a murder.
Yeah, but I didn't know who we were talking about then. Look, I hardly knew Mrs. Murray. I only met her a few times.
But she had been a fit and healthy woman.
Yeah, I suppose so. The odd flu, a few holiday jabs.
And after she'd been mugged?
Yeah, she was nervous and withdrawn.
More vulnerable to having a stroke.
She may well have had a stroke anyway.
Do you really believe that?
I don't know. Scientifically, it's impossible to say why she died when she did.
I wonder what her family would say.
That's not fair. I'm not her family.
But your wife was killed by a mugger.
But not this mugger.
Does it matter? If you knew there was someone with information that could put your wife's killer away, wouldn't you want them to use it? Would you give us a statement confirming Mrs. Murray's health before and after the attack? And what, in your opinion, the attack did to her mentally and physically?
Look, I'd love to help you, I really would, but...
Look, I know I'm asking a lot. And I know you want to do the right thing. Take some time, think about it. I'll call back later. Yeah, I just want to put a vicious mugger away. I think you can help me.
Have you finished early again?
Well, I guess healing just comes easy to me.
Well, seeing as you have started your rounds so early, you won't mind a couple of extra visits.
I'm pretty much fully booked up.
Well, it won't take a super doctor like you more than 5 minutes.
I'd love to, but I've got to get to the hospital.
Good, then you'll be going past the Meadows estate. There's a Mrs. Ahmed. We need a check-up on her before we can issue a repeat prescription. She's at 21 Cedar House. And then there's a Mr. Marshall, 104 Willow House, also on the Meadows estate.
Mr. Marshall, he's that hypochondriac not.
I think the correct medical term is obsessive-compulsive disorder.
Oh, please, can't someone else go?
Like I said, it won't take you more than 5 minutes.
I have never been unfaithful to my wife. In 12 years, I've never even thought of another woman. I love my wife. I couldn't sleep with anyone else.
Then maybe your wife... maybe you could have got the infection from her.
I don't believe she could have done this. Why would she? We're happy. Now, you've made the mistake. You don't know what you're talking about. I want a second opinion.
The tests are conclusive. They'd only tell you the same as I have.
And I don't believe ya!
If you're unhappy with me, I'd be glad to get one of the other doctors to see you.
Yeah! No, don't. I don't want everyone to know about this.
It will be in the strictest confidence.
Oh, for God's sake. My wife comes in here, they'll all see her.
It's not for us to make judgments on people.
Yeah? Well, you did with me.
Oh, I jumped to a conclusion, and I'm sorry for that. If your wife doesn't want to be treated here, she could go to the GU clinic at St. Phil's.
She's found someone else. Someone who's done this to us.
Your wife needs to be treated, and so do any other sexual partners that she may have been with.
You what? Partners? What kind of person do you think she is, eh?
I don't know. I'm just saying that everybody needs to be made aware of the situation. That's all.
Dr. Nugent.
Dr. Powers, always a pleasure.
I've just come to check on Mrs. Webster.
Well, that's nice.
Well, where is she?
Oh, yeah, she went home this morning. She felt that would be better for her.
Oh, she felt it would be better, did she?
Yeah, and we agreed with her. We all felt she'd probably recover quicker at home.
Silly me, I forgot she was a medical expert.
Well, she is an expert on herself.
And why should she waste her time on doctors?
Well, we found a lot of patients seem to recover more effectively if they've more of a say in their care.
Well, that's fascinating. Must be nice to have so much time to spend.
Oh, it's worth it. The more you know about your subject, the better the chance you've got of getting the treatment right. Well, I mean, if you were going to ask me out to dinner, you might like to know what sort of food I prefer before deciding where we go.
Yeah, but that's slightly different.
French.
Pardon?
French food. If you were going to ask me out to dinner, a nice French restaurant would really impress me.
Now, are you sure about that? You wouldn't like a second opinion? You wouldn't like to check with Mrs. Webster first?
To be on the safe side, why don't I choose a restaurant?
Well, now, that's a very tempting offer, but unfortunately there are only 24 hours in the day and I seem to be working most of them. And anyway, how would you know where to take me?
The cure for chlamydia is pretty straightforward. We put you on a course of antibiotics and just avoid penetrative sex until we've given you the all clear.
Could she have caught it shaking hands with someone or from a toilet seat or something?
No, she couldn't. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Is there anything else I can tell you? Anything I can do? Do you want to talk to someone about your marriage?
No, thank you.
There is counselling. I could arrange for you to see someone.
I don't need to see anyone, thanks.
Mr. Winton.
That's all right, Doctor. I'm not going to do anything silly. I love her.
Well, what are you going to do?
It's Thursday. Well, she goes to her mum's on Thursday. I'll pick her up, we do a bit of shopping, and she goes out for the evening. To the bingo.
Mr. Ahmed, Mrs. Ahmed.
Listen, Matt, you must have come across your fair share of people who've been beaten up when you're in Belfast.
More than my fair share.
Well, did many of the victims go on to suffer strokes as a result of the attacks?
Don't know. Spent most of my time in A&E. We patched them up and sent them out. Didn't get much feedback on subsequent health problems. Why?
Well, I had a visit from the police. Remember Mrs. Murray?
Yep.
The police are trying to prove that her stroke was caused by the attack on her. They want me to make a statement in court about her health.
Well, how soon after the attack was a stroke?
Well, the first one was about a week after. But she died of a massive stroke in hospital a few weeks later.
Difficult to link the attack with a stroke.
In terms of a shock to her system, I think you can safely say that she suffered a major jolt.
But she didn't have the fatal stroke for several weeks. A defence barrister would want to know what she was doing during the weeks in between.
She wasn't doing anything. She didn't go anywhere. She didn't see anyone. She was too frightened even to leave her own house. I mean, she just wasted away in front of her own family.
All of which is irrelevant to her having a stroke.
She was beaten and left for dead in her own living room.
Come on, Steve. Thousands of people have physical trauma every year without it inducing a stroke.
What about a patient's mental health? Their personal well-being? Doesn't that come into play?
Irrelevant. Besides, Steve isn't qualified to comment on that.
So what do you think caused the stroke?
What I'd look as a medical history. Her lifestyle. Was she a smoker? Was she a drinker? What's her diet like?
So you're saying that even if she hadn't been beaten and robbed for a few lousy quid, or even if she hadn't been living a quiet life until somebody came along and decided to use her as a punch bag, she'd have probably suffered a stroke anyway?
Can you, as a doctor, say she wouldn't have?
I think she may well still be alive.
Look, the police aren't asking for an opinion. They will not be satisfied with a quote from a book. They want a statement of fact from a professional. From you.
Hello, Mr. Marshall. So, what's the problem?
I've been like this for several days. It's difficult to breathe and I've got pains in my chest.
I see.
So, Mr. Marshall, have you had any sensations in your arms?
What, like a cramp?
Or tingling feelings?
I'm not sure.
Right, well, if you could roll up your sleeve, please.
Could you, sorry, would you mind putting your bag? It's okay. There we go. Just get out of the way. Sorry, that's nice. There we go.
Thank you.
There's a policewoman in reception wants to see you. But if you're busy, I'll be happy to take her off your hands.
Sorry, mate, but this is one I'm going to have to deal with myself.
They only want a statement about her health.
Yeah, but they're going to use that statement to prosecute someone.
A mugger.
But not necessarily a murderer.
Well, nobody's asking you to prove murder. That's for the barristers. We all know she was fine before the attack. And no one knows better than you what that kind of experience can do to someone. And you could stop another mugging. I'll tell you, Steve, if it was one of my patients, I wouldn't hesitate, mate.
Well, I can't find anything wrong. Your blood pressure's a little high, but not serious.
I know I'm not well. I'm short of breath. My heartbeat's fluctuating.
You need to get out of the house more. Start exercising. You're working yourself into an anxious state.
I'm not dreaming it. There's something not right.
Well, I can't find anything.
Look. I've kept a record. My heartbeat has been fluctuating. Look here. Last Monday, 72 beats per minute. And by the end of the day, it quickly rose to 88. And by Tuesday, it started at 80, then quickly rose to 95.
That's very impressive.
My heart rate is in red.
What are those figures?
The time of day.
They're very neat.
I've written the room temperature in blue.
Would you say that you were an expert on yourself?
Well, I don't know if I'd say that.
Well, I think you probably are. So, your heart rate goes up through the day?
Yes.
And do you do anything in particular at these times? Exercise, take baths, watch TV, videos?
No.
So as far as you can recall, you're not doing anything physical that causes your heart or your breathing to increase?
No.
OK, we'll see you next week.
But no.
In the meantime, I want you to cut out caffeine. No tea, coffee, no fizzy-cola drinks. Anything with caffeine is out. And I want you to record everything you've eaten and drunk.
A record? What, with figures on it? Oh, great.
And I want you to take your heart rate. But, now this is the most important thing. Only take it 3 times a day. Sit in front of an open window, breathing deeply for 5 minutes before you take
An
it.
open window? Oh, but what about the germs from outside? Couldn't I just...
No! An open window, fresh air. We've talked about this. This obsession with germs, it's part of the disorder. And I'm sure your counsellor's talked to you about it.
I could give it a go.
Good, and I'll come back in a week's time. We'll compare the 2 charts and we'll think what to do next. OK?
OK.
Good.
Exactly what time will you be here next Wednesday?
In the afternoon sometime.
Right.
Don't worry.
OK.
I'll be here.
Sorry. Will it be before or after 3 p.m?
You called?
Oh, yeah, there's a lady who's been asking to see you. She hasn't got an appointment, but she says it's urgent.
No?
Mrs. Winton.
Ah. I am Dr. Mystery. Would you like to come through?
Yes. Sorry to keep you waiting.
That's okay. I thought you might like some more details on our mugger. Her career, so far.
My husband told me I should see you about some treatment.
Right, yeah. Is he all right?
Bit shocked.
I'm sorry that I had to tell him that you'd had an affair.
I didn't have an affair. I could never cheat on my husband.
Mr. Ahmed, Mrs. Ahmed.
They're expecting you.
I'm the doctor. Have they gone away?
I doubt it. Mrs. Ahmed never goes out.
Well, it doesn't look like anyone's in.
The old girl is always in her room. I never see her, but he's always out and about, getting his paper and that.
When was the last time you saw him?
Oh, I've been working a lot. I couldn't tell you. I keep their keys somewhere. You know, if anything happened to him, she couldn't do anything for herself.
So when do your dustbin men come?
Beginning of the week. Mr. Ahmed usually takes his rubbish down. Not like some round here. Oh, blimey.
Can you get me that key? I'll take full responsibility.
I think I'll put it in the side.
Mr. Ahmed! Mrs. Ahmed! It's Dr. Powers from the surgery.
Thanks for grim reading.
I just want to put her away.
You know about my wife?
Yes.
She was a very honest woman. Always believed in doing the right thing, no matter what it might cost. I do want to help you. I want revenge for my wife's death. I want to put this girl away. And I know you've tried to use my wife's death to make me write your statement. But as a doctor, I can't help you. Because the fact is, Mrs. Murray's death could have been caused by any number of factors totally unrelated to the attack. In the past, she'd had high blood pressure, she'd had bronchial problems, she'd been a smoker. I can't say for sure that your mother killed her.
Thank you for your time, Dr. Rawlings.
I found it. Oh, thank you. No, it won't work.
It's definitely theirs.
No, it won't turn. It's locked on the inside.
They must be in there. We'd better get some help.
Right. Hello? Hello? Is anyone home?
Oh, God, I hope they're all right.
Get out of my flat! Get out! You have no right! How dare you break in here?
Mr. Ahmed, it's me, Dr. Powers. We were worried about you.
I'm sorry, but you're not invited into my home.
Oh, we thought there was something wrong with you.
You must go now.
Oh, no!
Leave my wife, she's sleeping! No. I tell you, she is just sleeping. She's only sleeping.
Is she dead?
No, she's sleeping.
No, I'm afraid she's not. Why don't you put the kettle on?
Oh.
It's all right.
They'll take her away. I don't want them to take her away. Please. We've always been together.
I'm so sorry.
I have to start the dinner. We like to eat early. I always cook. I always do the evening meal. It's my job. Razia likes to eat early.
Why don't we move out of here? Now look, is there anyone I can call? Do you have any children?
A daughter. I don't even know how to contact her. I can't be without her.
He's so proud, you see. We had no money. His driving jobs were few and far between. But he wouldn't let me worry. He wouldn't let me help. The loan on the lorry was crippling. I just had to do something. I couldn't let him struggle on his own. I was no good at school. All I ever wanted to be was a housewife. Have a home, you know. But things were desperate. Then I met an old school friend, and she suggested a solution. She runs an escort service. I signed up. I know I might not be much to look at, but some men like that. It's sad, really. But the money was good and I paid off the loan. I always tried to be careful, but this time...
And you've told your husband this?
I knew it would all come out one day. Didn't expect it to be like this, though. He wasn't really angry. I almost wish he had been. He just looked broken. Now he's blaming himself for not providing for me, making me have to do it.
We'll have to get you checked out at the clinic, I'm afraid, and then get you on a course of antibiotics.
Right. I just wanted you to know the truth, rather than think I've been cheating on him.
For me nerves, I've never had such a shock. Yeah.
No, thank you. I've got to get back to work.
How's he doing?
I've given him something to help him sleep.
Don't you worry, I'll keep an eye on him. Why didn't he call an ambulance and get some help?
Well, he's looked after her for 20 years without any help.
Well, he couldn't keep her there like that. It don't make sense.
Well, that's love for you. Hello? Mum, it's me, Caroline. No, nothing's wrong. I just thought I'd call. No reason. Look, I know it's been a long time. Well, I've been busy. Don't start. Come in. Look, I thought I'd pop round and see you tonight, if that's okay with you. Great. All right, I'll see you later, Mum. Bye.
There's a Dr. Nugent outside. He's been calling all afternoon, but your phone was off.
Hello. Oh, sorry I missed your calls.
I've given up on modern technology. Decided to try in person. That dinner we talked about, I wondered if you're free tonight.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've just spoken to my mum. I've arranged to see her.
That's a new one on me. I'm washing my hair would have done. Maybe another time then, eh?
Yeah, maybe.